we're wrapping up 2nd and 3rd John, and they're short letters, very short, some of the shortest in the Bible, certainly in the New Testament. And John is going to end not so much with theology, but he's going to talk about something that that every one of us has. Every one of us has this, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, whether you're trying to think about this or not, all of us, everyone has a reputation. And it's good news, bad news. Here's the bad news. Your reputation is entirely decided by what other people think about you. That's the bad news. Your reputation is not, hey, by the way, here's what I want you to think about me. I know, when I come to mind, can I just tell you what I want you to, okay, I want you to just to realize I am so kind, so funny. I always do the right thing. I'm never wrong, and if I am wrong, I'll remind myself I'm not wrong, but I'm so, and you're like, that doesn't work. You don't get to tell anyone what your reputation is. I'm really known for being just really humble, just meek, I'm not self-promoting. Can you write all this down? You're okay, so you're none of those things. All right, you don't get to tell people your reputation. Here's your reputation, ready? It's what people say about you, never to you. People talk behind your back. Did you know that? I know you don't know that. They're like, there's no way, no one talks about me. Listen, people talk behind your back. And the way you know that is because you talk behind people's backs, right? And so you're doing it too. You talk, someone comes to mind. It's not always bad. Someone comes up, in a conversation, you hear their name. Oh, did you hear about so-and-so? Oh, they got a new job. Oh, they're moving. Oh, their kid made it into whatever this, and they bring this accomplishment. Oh, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I really love that family. Or it's like, oh man, I'm so glad we don't live by that family. Whatever it is, people talk about you, not all the time, and not as much as you think they do, but it comes up. People talk about you. They think about you. And they have ideas and perceptions of who you are, and all of those perceptions we call your reputation. You don't even know what people are saying about you unless someone graciously is like, oh man, so-and-so said the nicest things about you. And if someone starts that conversation, 100% of you are gonna go, well, what'd they say? Nobody is like, I'm sure it was nice. You don't need to tell me. It's like, please, what are people saying about me when I'm not around? All of us have a reputation. Some of us are working hard to build it, and you want to be the best, employee, the best salesman, the best in your field. You want to be the best manager, the best business owner, the best whatever it may be. You want to be the best parent. You want to be for instance, for my in-laws, the best Uber drivers, where that's what they did, get to drive the kids around. Whatever it is, you want to be, and you're working hard to have high character. You recognize that people are they're looking at your life, they're looking at how you respond to when things go bad and what you do, and all of it is building your reputation. And then others of us are trying to run from a past reputation. Something that's happened in the past, maybe it's a decision we are not proud of. And I very regularly meet people who are like, yeah, I'm new to band, new to church, just, oh, great, where are you from? And they'll go through the story. I'm from, I'm new here, but I come from this state, or I was in this city, but I had to get away because it just was rough, and it was not a good, it wasn't going well, and I just had to start over. All right. You understand too? All right, some of us. And then some of us, if you have a time in your life where you didn't know Jesus, you might have multiple reputations. You have reputations, and not just from different people. You have a different reputation in your family. You have a reputation at work. If you work, you have a reputation with your extended family. You have a reputation with friends. You have a reputation. This, and this is true, okay? I hope you're all sitting down, most of us. You have a reputation on your street? Did you know that? Did you know your neighbors talk about you? Because they call me and they tell me everything about you. I know everything. You like people, and people will like people are talking about you in different reputations. And here's how you know when they get together and they're all talking out. And then if they ever point at your house, that's a good clue. That's a good clue. They're talking. People have reputations, but then there's multiple reputations in which. So if you grew up in church and you can't think of a time where you weren't in church. You've always been at church from when you were a kid, maybe 5, 6, 7. Like your earliest memories, like this will be my kids. Their earliest memories, like they're always in church, and so they don't know like a pre-church experience. So their life is a different. They have a different set of of hurdles to jump. But for me, I didn't grow up in church, so I had a pre-church life, a pre-Jesus life. And that has one set of and I have friends and a whole group, a whole life that's way different than my life like after Jesus. And so I have that reputation, which is fairly good mostly, I think at least that's what I tell people. And then I come to Jesus and now it's like, oh, I have a different lifestyle. And the people I knew in my pre-Jesus life will look at that life and go, that's not who we remember. Like you're a different person. Like this is different. Like you're a pastor? Huh. If you ever hear someone go, huh, that says a lot. You know that. There's a lot in the huh. There's a lot that they just said in that moment, right? And so there are times where you're like, oh, that was the old me and this is the new me. And so we all are always, we all have a reputation and it's always being built in people's minds and perspective of you, always. And so John, what he does is he ends this letter not with theology, not with doctrine, but instead, what he does is he builds two different profiles, two different reputations based on two different guys. By name, he calls them out in Scripture. Forever they will be known for this. Their reputation is forever printed in the Bible. Yours is not, but theirs is. And he contrasts both of them to let us know live like this one, not like this one. Here's what we're gonna see. Your faithfulness today, how you live out your faith today becomes someone else's foundation tomorrow. That people are looking at your life and going, do I wanna be like that or not? And you don't even know they're doing it. You don't even know who it is, but people are watching. I did this. If you grew up in church, this is probably not an experience that is similar to you or that you recognize. If you didn't grow up in church, I'm gonna guess you started going to church, you started thinking about Jesus, not because you went to the store and said, you know what? The Bible's the best-selling book of all time. I think I should go read it. If you're not a Christian, I'm telling you, very rarely do you go and get a Bible and just start reading and then you're like, I think I wanna be a Christian. Here's what happens instead. This was my experience. Someone who I trusted and respected and liked invited me to church and then started telling me about Jesus. Their faith became the foundation by which mine could start being built. It wasn't, sounds so weird. The foundation of my faith was not the Bible. It wasn't Jesus. It is now, of course. I built my house on Jesus' foundation, but that's not how it started. It started by looking at someone else's faith and going, there's something different about them. There's something intriguing about their life that's different than my life. I wonder what it is. It started with the curiosity by seeing their faithfulness. Listen, people are doing that for you. They're looking at your life going, is this worth it or not? Is that really? Your faithfulness becomes someone else's foundation tomorrow. Here's what we'll see. So we're going to go through these short verses here. Again, 3 John is very short, and there's only one chapter, so it's just verses. 3 John, we'll start at verse 11. John writes this. Dear friend, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. Anyone who does what is good is from God. Anyone who does what is evil has not seen God. Here's the point. Ready? Here's what he's saying. Your reputation reveals what you imitate. So like what people think about you, what they say about you is determined, we know what that is based on what you try to model your life after. And we all have something. It can be career, it can be success, it can be wealth, it can be business, it can be family, it can be kids, it can be accolades, it can be awards, it can be accomplishments, it could be all kinds of stuff that your life becomes like as your North Star. And whatever your thing is, that's who you will start to become like. So he says this, he says, dear friends, do not imitate what is evil. He uses this word, mimeomai in Greek. It's the root word of where we get the word mimic. So he's like, don't mimic, don't like copy what is evil, but instead, what is good. Don't live your life in such a way that you're trying to reproduce or copy or mimic or imitate that which is evil. Instead, what is good and what is beneficial. And he says that anyone who does what is good is from God. Anyone who does what is evil has not seen God. And he's going to contrast again both of these names. And here's what he says specifically, okay? And you need to hear this. I need to hear this. This is the season I'm going through that I'm recognizing and realizing this. I've always known this, but now it's like I'm really understanding, I think, some of this. When he says the word good here, this is what is intrinsically beneficial. It's not, ready for this? It's not just being nice. Do you know, and maybe you don't, I'm gonna tell you, nowhere in the Bible are you told to be nice. And right away, you don't believe me, so I'm gonna challenge you. Go Google it, go chat GPT it, and believe whatever it says, right? Whatever it says, 100% true. No, but you can go look this up. You're not told to be nice. You are told to be good. You are told to be holy and to be righteous. You are told to be kind. But sometimes a kind, good person confronts what is wrong. And that's not being nice. Nice is, I don't want to ruffle feathers. I don't want to cause problems. It's just, I don't want to cause conflict or be in conflict. Nice, the nice person, ready? Avoids anything that's uncomfortable. The good person says, because I love you, we have to face this. We have to talk about it. We have to deal with this thing. It's not, now listen, that is not permission to go criticize any and everyone you want. That is not what we're talking about. But being nice, this idea of like, let's just not cause any kind of issues for anyone and let people just do their thing. Hold on, we're not called to be nice. We are called to be good, to stand for something, to stand up to things, to call out and to not imitate, to refuse to live and to do and to copy what is evil and wrong and to call it out, and then instead to say, I'm gonna do what is good. Your reputation is determined and reveals what you imitate. We all imitate something or someone. The question is, who or what is shaping you? Your reputation reveals what you imitate. So not only does it begin with that, it's then confirmed by what you demonstrate. So it reveals what you imitate, but now it's determined and it's confirmed by how you live, by what you do. So people's opinion of you is not based on what you say. It's not even based on what other people say about you. They'll say, oh, they think that. They think that they're really kind or nice, or they think that they're a jerk, or like, oh, so-and-so said that she is critical, or that he is judgmental, or whatever. But then when they get to know you, it's like, oh, I'm determining my perspective based on what I see you do, okay? And they could be wrong. It doesn't mean they're right, but that's their perspective, and their reputation that you have in their eyes is determined by your actions. So you then, John is going to tell us, let your life speak so much louder than your words. A lot of us love the idea of telling people what we think. Some of us might wake up in the morning for that moment to tell other people what we think. what we think about this thing or that thing or how we feel, right? We say this language like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and to which my response is always, has that ever gotten you in trouble? And their response is always, all the time. Okay, so that might not be the wisest way to live your life, is just to say everything you think. But we want to do that. But your reputation is not determined by what you say. Instead, your life speaks so much louder than what you say. Here's what it says in verse 12. And this is a challenging verse for us. It doesn't feel like it as you're reading it. John had, last week, a few verses earlier, mentioned this guy named Diotrephes, and he said this about Diotrephes. This is his reputation. In verse 9, but Diotrephes, who loves to be first. That's how he describes him. Forever in eternity, Diotrephes, whoever this guy is known as being the guy who loves to be first. He's about himself. If you're curious if that's you, here's how you know. If there is a line for food and you're first, you might be Diotrephes. especially if like there's kids in line behind you and you're like, and you're 62 and you're like, get back, I need to get my mac and cheese. That's a problem. I love to be first. He loves to be first. And now he's gonna say, but let me tell you about this other guy. And this is the one that's challenging. Demetrius, he's now gonna contrast against Diotrephes. Demetrius is well spoken of by everyone, and even by the truth itself. We also, John goes, we know him, and we speak well of him, and you know that our testimony is true. A few things. First, this is the challenge for you, okay? Ready? I want you to think about this. Do you think you, in your current state, like your current life, could you replace your name for his? Could you put your name in this verse? Could you say this about yourself? Brandon is well spoken of by everyone. That's not true. And even by the truth itself. I hope so. I hope that the gospel and testifies that I am as living as faithfully as I can. We also, not John, but others, speak well of him and you know that our testimony is true. Could you put your name in there and say, your name, you so-and-so, is well spoken of by everyone? Are you living in such a way that everyone goes, man, I might not agree with them, but I can respect them, and I see the character and okay. Not that they're described as nice, of like, they don't ever cause problems, or, I don't, like, that, you know what? Man, they have convictions and they stand firm for what they believe, and they clearly stand for the Lord. Oh, can people say that about you? This guy is forever known as being someone that is spoken well of. The Greek word here is martyreo. It's where we get the word martyr. It literally means to bear witness of. So like when you think of a martyr, someone who dies for their faith, they're dying for what they are, like they believe in and what they bear witness of. And so this is the same thing. Though he hasn't died for his faith, it's the same. He bears, like everyone speaks about his testimony and like testifies about him, and they speak well of him. And this guy is well known even by the truth itself, by the gospel. The gospel itself validates this guy is the real deal. And what's funny too is, and then John says this, and we also speak well of him, and you know that our testimony is true. There's a few things that John writes. There's a number of times that John writes, and you're going, John, that's kind of funny actually. And you read that and you don't laugh, but let me tell you why that's funny. John is one. So all of the writers in the New Testament, all the writers in the Bible, but especially the New Testament, have different, like they write from different perspectives, and they write from different priorities. So John is very emotional. He speaks and writes emotionally. He writes about the heart. He writes in imagery. He's very artistic in how he writes. Even the Gospel of John is very different than the other Gospels. They're just kind of like, and then this happened, and John is given like illustrations, and he starts by saying, in the beginning was the Word, and he points to Jesus being the Word. It's like beautiful. It's like he's really good. But then there's times where John writes stuff, and you're like, John, you didn't have to say that. For instance, the Gospel of John says this: there were two disciples that ran to the tomb to go see the empty tomb. And it says Peter started first, and then the other disciple. The other disciple, he doesn't write his own name, so he writes the other disciple. And then it says this, the other disciple got to the tomb first. Do you know what he just said? I'm faster than Peter. Put that in the scriptures forever. I beat him on a foot race and you're like, the other disciple outran Peter and got there first. You're like, John, that's kind of funny. And you wrote that in there. It's like, yeah. Like, I bet Peter gets a copy of the Gospel of John. He's like, John, this is really good. Wait a minute, what? You put that in there? Like I totally imagine that's probably their banter back and forth. And then John also writes this. John also writes this about himself. The Gospel of John, he wrote it. And he calls himself, ready? The disciple that Jesus loved. Jesus had 11 disciples and one he loved. And John wrote that, and you're like, John, you can't write that, bro. You wrote that? Okay, and then he writes this. He's like, hey, and this is our testimony too, and you know our testimony is trustworthy. You're like, John, I mean, you could write that, but that's kind of a funny thing to say. Hey, you can trust us. He's saying, you can trust me more than you can even trust yourselves. And I don't think he's saying it as a prideful, but he's like, hey, listen, based on my track record, my track record, my history, you know that when we say something, we're committed to it and we believe it and this is true. All right, we're telling you about this guy, about Demetrius, and he is well spoken of. Man, my friend, so I was gone last week because I flew to California to go to it was rough actually. It certainly wasn't an enjoyable trip. I went to his funeral. He was 47. He had battled cancer for 10 years, and his two kids, my kids' age, like my oldest son and his son were the same age. Grew up, sleepovers, friends, birthday parties, the whole thing when we were there. So we're close. We're close with their family, and dinner at their house all the time, the whole thing. He passed away in August, and so I was at his funeral, and it was full, of course, but it's never the service you want to go to. You never want to see a photo of someone who's like, 47, wife and kids, and you're like, And I'm sure you've been to services, you've been to funerals, you've been to, celebrations of life, you've been to those. And here's what's true of every one of them. Ready? People say nice things, even if they're a dirtbag. You say nice things. You come up with one thing. One time he did this. One time, he swerved to not hit the deer, and it was very kind. Whatever. At this service, I was like, he's a good buddy of mine. I'm trying to keep it together. It's back in my hometown. I was a pastor there, youth pastor. All my youth kids are now grown up, and it's like youth leaders. So I'm like, it's kind of like a youth group reunion, and I walk in and I'm like, oh, we didn't know you. I was great. And I'm in the service, like holding back tears, just like, I got to keep it together, man. Be brave. Everyone's like, all right. And I'm like, I can't, man. It's just because everything people said about this guy, Nathan, was about Jesus. All of it, like his life. It was about how he loved Jesus and how he helped others, and he was one of our youth leaders for decades, and like loved helping other kids. And he grew up in the jungle and like I remember him as missionary. He grew up quite literally in the rainforest, and he would tell me stories, and it was always like story time with Nathan was always the best. And like, so what'd you do growing up? He's like, oh, we would chase anacondas. Like full grown. Yeah, man, the bigger the better. Like, wow. He had pet monkeys and stuff. You're going like, this is a different life. And the stuff people shared, I'm like, I don't know what people are going to say at my funeral, but I want them to say this stuff. Like what? Like his life was all about high character and all about Jesus. His reputation, his life spoke far, far more than just words, than just what he said. You can't decide your reputation. You can't decide what other people say about you. What you do, here's the good news. What you do get to decide is the kind of life you live that other people get to see. You, and here's the thing, only you decide the kind of life you're going to live. Nobody decides it for you. You can't decide. There are things that happen outside of your control that happen to you, but you decide how to respond to that. You can't control all the events of your life, of course not, but you decide how you navigate them. That's entirely up to you. And other people are watching and going, how are they gonna do? What are they gonna do in this moment? How are they gonna live? And is it gonna be faithful, or is it gonna be, are they gonna fall off? Is it gonna be, I saw how they lived, and man, it impacted my faith. That is the greatest compliment you can ever get, is when someone says to you, if you've never heard this, then all right, then you've got some work to do. And if you have, you know this. If someone has ever said to you, I see your life and you make me want to be a better person. Whoa. Looking at you, I remember one guy in particular, a guy I'd known not for very long, and he said, hey, I just want to tell you, I'm just getting to know you and hearing you. You make me want to be more involved in church and be, all these things. I won't belabor because it's whatever. And I remember feeling that, going I don't know if I've ever heard that before. And that's probably the greatest compliment I've ever gotten, other than my kids being like, Dad, you're so strong, you're so handsome, you're so funny. Take those out, right? Those don't count. If people look at your life and say, I want to live like that. And again, not your kids. Your kids are, of course, they want to be like mom. They want to grow up to be like that. But if other people can look at, I look at my friend Nathan's life and go, man, I want to be like that. He was on his deathbed. He was making plans and getting people around and making sure his wife was taken care of. I mean, it's like, man, dude, you're so faithful. You're so solid. There's nothing that can shake you. You're dying, and you know this, and you're laughing and joking and making sure everyone is taking. It's like, dang, I grow up, I want to be like you. Your life speaks louder than your words. What you do speaks far more volumes than what you say. How you mimic Jesus, people notice. Here's the next thing that we see that John is going to tell us, and he's going to go through this fairly quickly. He wraps up. He tells us to show up where it matters, to be present when you need to be. He says this, verse 13, I have much to write to you. Again, this is their benefit, our loss. But I do not want to do so with pen and ink. Dang, this is how he ended 2 John, the same way, almost the same wording. I have more to say to you, but I don't want to write it down. Instead, verse 14, I hope to see you soon, and we will talk face to face. Literally, the Greek is translated mouth to mouth, meaning my mouth facing your mouth, and we'll talk to each other face to face. I don't want to do this over pen and paper. I want to do this face to face. Let's be present. This is one of the reasons why COVID was so hard for church. Because we could say hey, we won't meet. There's a health crisis. Okay, everyone's not meeting. We won't meet. And so we stopped meeting. Turns out other people are meeting, and it's what's going on here? And the reason it was so hard is because church is not about entertainment. It's not just turn on the TV, go to the right show, turn on YouTube. We can stream everything. It'll all be the same. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, this isn't church at all. If you just don't like what you're hearing, you just turn it off. You don't like the pastor that week, you just turn it off. You come to church here, you can't turn me off. You're stuck here, right? You can walk out and we'll all notice and we'll all point. No, we won't. But there's something about being in the presence of other people that you can't replicate. This will never be replaced by robots or AI or some sort of, new tech. It's no, just the age-old human-to-human contact cannot be replaced. And so John, 2,000 years ago, is hey, I got more to say, but I'm going to come and I want to be there with you in person. There are times in your life, my life, where you need to be involved with other people. And then he says this, pursue peace and friendship. He ends by saying this, verse 15, peace to you. The friends here send their greetings. Greet the friends there by name, in person, literally by name. He says, hey, I want you to say hi to all the people we know and greet them by name. Here's, I read this and I go, all right, I'm challenged by this. Here's my challenge to you. How many people in this church do you know by name? And not people on the stage. just people. This is why we talk about small groups. This is why we talk about like getting in groups or a women's Bible study or men's Bible study. It isn't because it's like, hey, one more thing to do. It's no, because you need to be face to face in like life to life with people, like in their presence where you're like, I know their name, they know my name, I'm praying for them, they're praying for me, and we're doing life together, not because the church told me to, but because I recognize I stinking need it. I stinking need people in my life that I can talk to and that I can be praying for and they can be praying for me and we can do life together and we know each other by name and we literally are face to face. We need people. John recognizes this and he's like, we need to do this. Your faithfulness today, your faithfulness to the gospel, to who Jesus is, becomes someone else's foundation tomorrow. How you live is building your reputation, and people are deciding, I'm gonna follow it or I'm not. And here's how you know, like, you're someone worth following, okay? I want you to think how long you've been a Christian, by years. Come up with the number of years. So think when you started, when you would say, this was real for me. Maybe you were 4, 5, 6, that's really young. Maybe it was probably middle school, maybe high school, where it's like my faith became my own, and I started going, not because mom and dad made me, but because I wanted to. That was serious. For me, it was later because I didn't grow up in church, so I had like a pre-Jesus like life, and then come to Jesus, and like, all right, so for me, I'll give you mine. I've been a Christian I do the math, depending on when like I started kind of like actually becoming, like I would say I actually like believed, probably 22, 23, maybe 24 years. I'll go with 23. Probably about 20. I've been a Christian about 23 years. I'm 25, so that should tell you. In 23 years, 22, 23 years, if my life pre-Jesus was like this, and 22, 23 years later, it's like that, that's a problem. If I look at my life before Jesus and now with Jesus and say, I've grown, absolutely I've grown, just a step up. I am a better person than I once was. And you go, 23 years, you've grown an inch spiritually, that's it? This is a problem. If you look at your life and say, man, when I first became a Christian, here's what I was like, and now X amount of years later, here's what it's like, and it's like, it's kind of the same, that's a problem. That's a problem because you're limiting, it isn't because like God's saying, I don't want to grow you, it's you recognizing, I need to grow more. God wants me to grow like exponentially in my life. Why am I limiting him? But if you look at your life, you can go, man, here's how I was. Even if it was as a kid, this is what my life would be like without Jesus, and here I am now, and it's been full of ups and downs, like life is hard. This isn't a representation of how easy life is, but rather how faithful and devoted I am to Jesus regardless of what happens. Man, my life is totally different. You look at that and go, this kind of person, the person that has done that growth, people look at and go, there's something different about you. If people look at you and they don't even know you're a Christian, they've known you for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and they don't even know you're a Christian. Honestly, church, what the heck are you doing? What are you waiting for? How serious are you about your faith? If your neighbors don't know you're a Christian, what the heck are you doing? If people look at your life, I don't know why I'm getting intense right now. I didn't do this in first service. I think I'm looking at you and going, you guys are just terrible people. But if people look at your life and they don't see someone changed by Jesus, honestly, all jokes aside, what the heck are you doing? What are you waiting for? What do you want your kids to think about you? Your grandkids? I look at my life and go, man, I don't always get it right by any means. But man, I want my kids and future grandkids to go, but at least Dad was faithful. At least, Grandpa or Poppy, whatever they call me, he loved Jesus. And he might have made some mistakes along the way, but he's gonna ask me about Jesus. You and I, like your faithfulness today, it is investing in someone's foundation for tomorrow. Would you do this? Would you stand with me? And we're going to worship the Lord together. I hope this is true of you. I want this to be true of me, that my faithfulness will have dividends in someone else's future, in their faith, in their foundation tomorrow. Will you pray with me? So Lord, thank you. Thank you for your word. Thank you for the examples we have in Scripture of guys who get it right and guys who get it wrong. Help us to be people, not the kind of person who people say they love to be first. Oh, Lord, may that never be spoken of us. Instead, have your way in our lives in such a way that others say everyone speaks well of them. Even the truth. Everyone looks at them and their reputation and says, they're serious about this. They are faithful. Help us to be that kind of people in our lives. We pray this in Jesus' name.